Hello and welcome to this, the last of my videos on building the Tamiya Mad Bull. I think it's starting parts bag C, so let's get on. Okay, so step 14, the beginning of parts bag C, is just simply popping the rear shocks on. Now it does show there putting grease on, but I'm not doing that. And it's just 4 step screws, do they call them? Yep, just the 4 step screws. One on the rear axle itself, and then one, oops, dropping everything onto the chassis. I'm saying nothing now. There we go, so we need to tighten them up and the other side, and I'm going to do that off camera so I don't make too much of a fool of myself. Okay, so step 15 is installing the servo and the on-off button, which is slightly weird because yeah, so I'm going to take the screws out of this because for some reason, well, I'll say for some reason, because if you can get hold of a TBL 02 or 04 at the minute, they supply them with these screws, but they also supply you with the screws in the kit with some washers. And looking at this, where's on? On's there. Well, it doesn't matter in this instance, but strangely they want you to put this dust cover on, so why the hell not? But I'm going to use these other screws that come with it, with the black heads. Just a lot of stuff to poke through. Oops. And then we can attempt to screw it in. Now, do you know what? I've had this before with these dust covers, where that switch is so long that you should put that on as well. Might give it that little bit extra room, and we then screw that up. And then once you've done the other side of that, there's this point here with the rear body mount, and it shows you how it should be orientated and screwed in, and then that can go on the top there somewhere. It goes. Let me get that out of the way so we can hopefully see. That's a bit of a tight fit, that one, folks, but I think it goes there, and that's for the wibbly wobbly. Oops. That bit, and then we use these last 2 screws, one in there, whoops, and one in there, and we can tighten them up. And then, as I say, once you've mounted that, you can get your servo and obviously check the orientation again, and then that mounts on there with that screw, or one of these flanged screws. And again, half the time you need 3 hands. And then this one goes on the other side there, again with the same screw. And then, as I say, I'll show you all of that once I've done it, and be back in a bit. Right then, once you've got your 2 brackets on your servo, we can mount that here. It's a bit tricky because I should have put that wire the other way around, but you know, you live and learn, don't you? It does actually squeeze in, and then he's lost his screws. We can screw it in with an ordinary self-tapper 10mm that side, but then a flanged one this other side because it's got a slot. Once you've got that screwed in, you can then add this little beastie that goes somewhere about there. And again, we've got 3 screws, one that screws into this on-off switch bracket, and the other 2 into the chassis, if you can find the hole. And into, yep, that one there. And once you've done that, and you've got this ESC flapping around, we can move on to 16. Rightio folks, step 16 is all about installing the rest of the electronics, like this, the receiver, and this, the debriefing, yeah, the ESC. So what I'm going to do is, rather than using the double-sided tape, I'm using hook and loop. Don't want to get into trouble for copyright. Oh dear, that'd be bad. So I'm using this loop and hook, and I'm going to stick the ESC somewhere about there, so that I can then hopefully, maybe, somehow stick the ESC somewhere there. And yes, I'm unsure. I think I might use Velcro on that as well, but we'll see in a second. But I'll have a play anyway, so see you shortly. Right, once you've installed the RC equipment and plugged it all in, yeah, I've used look and hoop, or look and hope, and I don't know if you see here, the kit on this plastic tree E here came with 2 servo arms. So what I've done, as there was a post here similar to this one, I've basically screwed it onto that to stop the power leads flapping about. So yes, step 17 is checking the RC equipment and centering the servo, I think. So basically you will need your RC equipment and a battery of some description. Mine is a nickel metal hydride 3300, and your transmitter, and we turn the transmitter on, turn the car on, You probably might have heard that hopefully, but the servo did a quick wiggle to centre itself, and the ESC bleeped, and then to test very quickly, because we haven't put any bearings in the back yet. As you can see, they're all wobbly, so I wouldn't run it too fast like that. Just make sure that it goes. Yeah, so that's 17, and then we can move on to 18 in a second, which is starting to build up the servo saver. Okay, once you've centred the servo, you've got these two servo attachments which make the base of the servo saver, and you'll only find one that fits on. That one's not going on at all. This one with a cutaway here is, I believe, the bigger sprocket cog toothed, so that goes on there. You've then got your part G1, I think, yeah, and G2 that you put together, and you've then got this steering rod thing, and it looks like it's a bit of a suck it and see and wiggle it and jiggle it, so I think you've got to try and get that end in like that at the same time as putting this end in like so, and then hopefully attaching it all like that, not forgetting to screw the thing down. And for that I've got a 12mm machine screw, because this has got a metal gear on it, and we just screw it up. Now with this, or with these in the past, I have had issues, or even issues, with the screw coming undone. So what I initially do is do it without, but then if the screw comes loose, start slapping some screw lock on it. So there we have that done, and whoops, we can move on to 20, which should be a simple case of putting on the battery holder retainer thingamajig Dubry-Firkin, which by the looks of it goes on like so, slips on, so I can see that getting lost, and then it falls off. I've obviously didn't get that right. That's a bit of a faff if you ask me, but hey. And then we just need an R-clip, and it says one of the big ones for half an hour. And will it fit through? Can't even see it. Yeah, it fits through all right there like that. And then we can move on to wheels. So we have 4 wheels already made up, and we've got 2 fronts, as you can see here, with room for bearings, and we've got 2 rear, which have got a 12mm nut hole, and there to go on the back. And just so you know, you do need to get them the right way round. I don't know whether it does actually make a big difference, but it looks better when the chevrons are pointing forward. So that's for that side, this one's for this side. So we've got ball bearings. We'll do this front one first. So we put a bearing in there, and then I'm going to pop it on because that's quite a deep recess. Still a deep recess. And then the other one goes on like so. And then we've got a 7mm nut, nylock nut, so that goes on like that. And then I need to get my nut spinner. And we tighten it up. And then in this bag here I've got 2 metal Dubry Firkins 12mm hex adapters, and we also need, he says, panicking because you can't find them, a ball bearing to pop in, which is a bit tough this side, or at the back. There we go. And then one of the nuts, and probably this, is it going to be this one? If it's not my fault. I didn't put the tyres on. Come on, doesn't want to go on. There we go. And yet again we need another nut. So there we go. I will crack on and do the other 2 and show you the finished article. And here we have the finished chassis. Not too bad at all, including Pete and Mark, wibbly wobblies. Yeah, so not too bad at all. I'm not really liking that, but hey, Tamiya moving in their mysterious ways. I think this might have to be upgraded at some point soon. So, new shocks, I think, proper oil shocks. I'll have to have a look, see if I've got any spare at the minute that might fit. But yeah, other than that, onto the body. So, with that, I hope you enjoyed this and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Cheers, bye!